It's no secret that balancing life and work is not easy when it comes to editing. There are plenty of days and plenty of nights where you're staying up and you're looking at the time, and then you're looking back at your timeline and you're realizing, how the hell am I going to finish this video before bed? And then you realize you can't. So you stay up and then you mess up your sleep schedule and you deliver this half-assed video. And then you have to bail on your friends, or you can't go to university, or, wherever. And then you realize, is editing even worth it? And you start going through all these questions in your head. You're wondering, how the hell can I actually do it? Now, I'm here to kind of solve this mystery of work-life balance. And I'm here to actually explain how it works, how I went from, this editor who didn't make a lot of money, who wasn't very good, who was a Fortnite addict, who didn't really have a lot of friends, and was failing school. So I had nothing going for me, all the way to a point where I was getting straight A's, and I got into, a point where I got to work with my dream clients. I got to a point where I was making good money, like around $10,000, $11,000 per month from editing. And overall, my life was flourishing. I was happy, I was healthy, and I'm going to basically explain how it all works, and I'm also going to be kind of explaining how work-life balance really works. Right? Now, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Danny. I've been editing for about 5 years. I've worked with plenty of YouTube's biggest creators, which you're going to learn about later on in this video. And actually, to prove that even further, I'm going to go over to the box of proof over here. I'm going to show you that I was actually working with Nico Milana for a while, whilst I was actually in university. So you can see that the location here is in the University of Leeds. You can see this is when I made my first payment for university. Big mistake. And you can see that this is my student ID card. I probably shouldn't be showing this, but in case people don't believe me and think this is a bunch of bullshit, I did go to university, and I got, you can see here that you have to get a bare minimum of 2 A's and a B to get into the film program, for their film course, right? And then on top of all of this, on top of everything, this entire story that I'm going to explain is also going to be including this part where I was building a product for the first time. I didn't know anything about selling. I didn't know anything about, selling digital products. All I knew was editing and how to sell my editing services. So I was building a new thing on top of school, on top of my final exams, and on top of actually editing. So in case you really think that, this story has its excuses, or, oh, but I don't have this, I don't have that, I can't do this, I can't do that, understand that I made about, an extra $11,000 from this digital product, whilst doing everything else on top of it. So now you have no excuses as we get into this, right? Okay, so this is basically a rough timeline that explains the beginning of my editing journey all the way to the point of me dropping out of university. So I actually did drop out, and that's basically to hinder that. University wasn't really for me, but I did actually manage to, again, get into a good university. So I managed to, ace my final exams in high school, and I got into a good university, and I was editing, and I was working with my dream clients, still making good money. Now, so we can just start from the beginning. April 2021, you can see this is a picture of me at my high school prom, being shoved all the way in the back. And this is a picture of me with Sneeko when he was cool, and not this whatever kind of Sneeko does right now. So you can see I was 16 years old. I basically started out editing. I was failing in school. I was a Fortnite addict, and I was spread thinly between friend groups. Meaning I was in about 3 or 4 different friend groups, and, we'd have a laugh. I could make a few jokes, and, they liked me, but it wasn't really too close to the point where if I asked for a favor, they'd say no. So we weren't really close, and I just didn't really have a lot of friends, although I was trying to, and I was just spreading myself incredibly thin, which meant that when I was going into a new stage in my life called sixth form, so let me write it out for you. So we have this thing called sixth form in the UK. So you essentially go from, high school, we call it secondary school, but let's just say high school, to sixth form to university / college, right? So this entire timeline is going to be showing, this is me graduating from high school, moving into sixth form, you know, for this period is in sixth form, and then I go into university, right? Now, sixth form lasts for 2 years, but it's essentially just a process where you study topics that you're interested in and that you want to study in university, and you have to go through these incredibly difficult exams in order to get in. And you can see that the minimum requirement for the film program in the uni that I wanted to go to was AAB, right? So I basically had to get 2 A's and a B in sixth form in order to get into here. But I'm going to be explaining how not only did I get those grades, but I worked with my dream clients and I made the most amount of money I ever did in sixth form, whilst being able to get into my dream university. So this is me, and you can see there's plenty of pictures here in contrast to everything else, and that is because I tried to do everything this year. I didn't think about what was best for me. I didn't think about what I was aiming for. I didn't have goals. All I knew was that I just wanted to just do as much as possible, right? So you can see this is me after I had gotten my first buzz cut. Just me chilling, being with my long ass legs that, you know, can't even fit. This is me hanging out with my friends. I actually don't know. Oh yeah, I remember this, but my friends are on the other side of the camera, so you can't see them. And then this is me with another one of my friends during sixth form when I was, when we were going to school. This is me at like some kind of internship that I had. This is my Twitter. You can see here, this is actually me tweeting about the internship. You can see I was 17 at the time. I'd worked with these guys. And then you can see, this is me trying to get some like more internships and more apprenticeships at Sky or Canon. I was texting my friends all the time on Discord, so you can tell that I wasn't really being too productive with my time. Here's more pictures at the internships, and this is me hanging out with one of my friends in person. And yeah, there was a lot going on. Like, I tried to do everything, and you could probably tell that this wasn't really going anywhere. You know, I wasn't doing so well in high school, and now moving into sixth form, thinking it's going to be a new me, but it's the same old me, because nothing changed. I still tried to do everything, and I wasn't doing this one thing that I actually had to do, and that was sacrifice. Now, this idea of work-life balance usually alludes to the fact that you can do everything and succeed at everything all at once, but I can tell you right now that is not true. That is not true. If you want to succeed at whatever it is that you want to succeed at, you must sacrifice other things for that one thing. You have to show to the world, look, I'm in it to win it, therefore everything else has to go, or these things have to go. But essentially, the more that you sacrifice, the more likely you are to succeed. So I sacrificed my friends outside of school. So I said, hey, no more to this thing, right? So no more of this. I sacrificed talking to my friends in school. So I was basically just this weirdo who had no friends whatsoever, right? A bit weird. We'd still talk every now and then, but my mind was not on having fun. I sacrificed all internships, all apprenticeships, everything, every opportunity that came my way. I said, no. Even my friends, like, on Discord, I said no to. I said, no, we can't call, we can't do this, we can't hang out in person anymore. And again, you see, no more internships. So any opportunity that came my way, I said no. I had two things in my mind. I had school and I had editing. Editing kind of came first, but even so, I still wanted to succeed with both of these things. And in order for me to do that, I had to sacrifice all of the friends that I had, like, not literally, not like ritualistic sacrificing where you kill them, but I just had to stop talking to them. No more apprenticeships, no more, like, nothing. It was literally just editing in school. So then we move into this second year of sixth form, the final year, where you're supposed to do well. Because in my first year, something that I didn't mention was, I was creating this show reel, I was creating this project to present, and I was going through all the study, and essentially they tried to fail me because they thought that I cheated. So I basically had to lock in for this next year to show them that I was the real deal if I wanted to get into my dream school, right? So this is a very, very, very nostalgic and very important room to me. In my school, there was a small office that had computers, and I basically on day one begged, and I mean begged my teacher. I created a proposal, I did everything. I begged him to let me use that room. I didn't want to use any of the library computers. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to sit in this room by myself all day, and I wanted to use this room. And on this side, where the computer is, if you turned around and if you look that way, that's where the whiteboard would be. And I used the whiteboard to plan the release of my editing pack, which was this product that I made so I could help editors to stop using plugins, because there was this big plugin frenzy going on at the time. Nobody really wanted it, but I just wanted to sell it and make a bit of money to fund my university, which I soon realized there was zero point in doing that, but I still did it anyways. And on the other side, this was just what I was doing. This is where I sat every single day, every single weekday at least, until I graduated. And this was my routine. So I would wake up at 6, and then I would go onto my computer. I would obviously do my whole like morning routine and stuff, dress up, shower, whatever. And then I would go into my Premiere Pro. I'd go to File, Project Manager, and I would export the Project Manager into my Google Drive folder. So if you don't know, you can literally just go to Google and you can just download Google Drive and install it into your like your file explorer, so that it's now this kind of outputs folder, I guess. So when I would export straight into my Google Drive. And what this would mean is that I could now leave for school, I could get there, I could log into this computer, go into Google Drive, and then download the Project Manager at home. Now, if you don't know what Project Manager is in Premiere Pro, it essentially allows you to export everything. So not like you export a video, but you collect the footage. It duplicates the footage. It duplicates the project file. It duplicates all the preview files. It duplicates all the assets. It duplicates everything that went into that project file, and then it puts it into a new folder. And then that new folder is now in my project, now in my Google Drive, which I would now download to start editing. So I would just edit from home and then edit here. And once I was done, I would just save the project file as a new one and then upload it to the Google Drive. And then because I'd have the same assets, I would just do it at home. And I'd just keep doing the same thing as I was switching between the two. So as I'd get to school, I would spend like 30 minutes in form time. So basically like attendance. So they'd say, Danny, are you here? I'd say, yes, I'm here. And then we'd get started for the day. Then I would download the project manager on this computer and I would edit. And then I would do schoolwork for 2 hours, because halfway through the day, before lunch, you'd have to report what you did for the day. And also, like, this is when most people were leaving, like during lunchtime. Not me though, because at 12 to 1, I would have my lunch whilst watching base squad videos or, film essays. And this is a bit specific, so I'm going to explain why and how and what the fuck are you talking about. Now, my lunch was the same all the time. I didn't go downstairs to get lunch. I didn't go out to a restaurant. I didn't go out anywhere. I didn't have school lunch. I would go to the corner store nearby, and I would have one of these things called a rollover, which is like a hot dog. It's like this really shitty, steamy hot dog that you'd have. And I would have it with a Lucozade, which in America is like a Gatorade bottle, right? And it would just be these two things. I'd have that for lunch every single day. And if I was a bit daring, I'd have like a packet of Skittles, which was never really helping, but I don't really care. And I would just have this every single day. And it wasn't very healthy, but it was fast. And during that hour, whilst I was having my lunch, I would put up Beta Squad videos. And that's really specific, but essentially Beta Squad was my dream client. Like, these were the guys, I wanted to get a full-time job with them at the time. So what I would do is I would watch their videos. And it's a bit silly because looking back at it, I could have just messaged their editor and kind of asked for mentoring. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that my brain was continuously exposing itself to this standard of editing. Like, I wanted it to look at this, you look at the monitor, be like, this is what you need to do. This is where you need to get to if you want to get a job. So I'll basically just study the beta squad videos, again, or, you know, some film essays to learn a bit about like how films were made and how I could improve my editing. And then once lunch was finished, I would just edit for 4 hours, so client work. And then if I didn't have any client work, then I would just do some schoolwork. And then at 6 p.m., I'd go home. So at 6 p.m., this is when like the cleaners would come by. And if I noticed there were cleaners outside, that means the school was shutting down and I had to basically leave. Otherwise, I'd get, you know, I'd be locked in. Not like locked in, but I'd be like actually physically, I wouldn't be able to leave the school. So I'd go home and then I would come back late and I would just do a bit more editing. And then I would sleep. And then I would do the same thing again tomorrow. I'll do the same thing over and over again. All of this whilst trying to build this ridiculous... I don't know what any of this stuff meant, by the way. Don't take this as an example of what you should do, because this was just a bad idea. But the point is that my time was still pretty thinly split whilst I was doing this. No one else came into this room. It was literally just me, sometimes a teacher, and sometimes like these, you know, this girl that I was seeing at the time. But at the time, there was like nothing else. No one was allowed to come in. And when I would leave the room, people would think that I was angry or tense, which I was, because I had client work. But that's all I did. And this was the payoff, right? So I've been doing this video for about 16 minutes now. I'm going to show you the payoff of the sacrifice. Because in case you think that you can still balance everything, you can't. But I am going to show you what happens once you start to make some sacrifices. So, May of 2023, this is my 6th form prom. So I basically had 2 proms, right? So one for high school. You can see one for high school. And then one for secondary school, 6th form, right? This was me. This was just some guy that looked like me. I don't fucking know who he was, but yeah. So you can see May 24, this was my prom. And then literally like 2 weeks later, I get a message from Sharky. Now, if you don't know who Sharky is one of the members of Beta Squad. And if you don't know who Beta Squad is, these are the guys that I was watching on my computer. Meaning, when I would have lunch and I would watch these videos, it paid off. It actually paid off. Watching those fucking videos for lunchtime and doing all that editing work, it paid off. So he messaged me for a job, and you can see this was on June 7th. So about May, is there a 31st in May? I think there is, not. April 30th, I don't fucking know. But either way, this is about like 2 weeks afterwards. And then you can see like another week and a half after that, or just about a week. You can see I went to the offices. This is Sharky. This is me working with them. And this is the work that I made. And then shortly after that, I got to work with Nico for a few months up until, you know, like May of 2024. So that went on for like less than a year. But anyways, shortly after this, I don't have a screenshot because I didn't take it. Although I did, you know, you can see that I kind of paid for my uni. I made my first like 10K month from editing. I'm not going to tell you how much they paid me, but I am going to say that I did make my first, like, it was like $11,000 or something, like $11,500. So it worked. It worked. And to prove that it worked, you can see that again, I got into my university, which has a high entry barrier for joining, right? Because it's like 20th in the UK, right? Or somewhere up there. I don't know where it is, but it's pretty high. It's in like this prestigious group. It's called like Russell Group or something. But point is like, I got into a good university. I made my first 10K month. I paid off university with said 10K month. And I got to work with my dream clients. All because I made the sacrifice of everything else. Which sounds extreme, but if you want to have extreme results, you must make extreme sacrifices. That is the gist of it. And I know that you're watching this because you wanted some hack, but I'm here to tell you, I tricked you, there is no hack. There is nothing to do except give up the things that you don't want to give up, right? Because even right now, you may think it's sad, but me and my friends are pretty at peace with it. I talk to my friends monthly, if not like some of them I speak to like every 3 months, but we don't like break connection or anything. This is just how it is. So I don't do any of this stuff. Anytime a new opportunity comes to me, I say no. Always no. Whenever I don't use Discord anymore, and even then, like the friends that I would text on Discord, most of them I don't even talk to anymore. But for those that do, again, we speak like every 3 months, right? We speak like fucking, sorry, I'm spitting everywhere. We speak like quarterly, bro. We don't fucking do anything else. And again, I haven't spoken to these guys in a long time. And I'm pretty at peace with it. Like, I'm happy doing what I want to do. There is no such thing as work-life balance. There is simply just the life that you want to live, right? So if you want to be extremely good at something, you have to dedicate as much time as possible to being good at that one thing. If you want to do everything in life, you can do everything, but don't expect to get success. If you want to live this life where you do everything, that's fine. You can do that, but you're not going to succeed with editing, and you're not going to succeed with anything else as long as you do that. And that's fine. Like, some people are actually okay with living like that, and that's cool. Like, I don't judge, right? Not everybody wants to live the life like this, where you just kind of sit in a white room and you just fucking work until your fingers start bleeding, and then you do that, right? It's extreme, but it was necessary. Would I do it again? Fuck yeah, I would. Like, I am so immensely proud of this part of my life. This was such a big part of my life. I've never worked so hard ever, because strictly after this, I'm going to be 100% transparent here. After this, so around like July, I got like my first, I've experienced burnout for the first time ever. So I've only ever experienced burnout once, and that was in July of 2023. Now, when I mean burnout, I don't mean like, oh, I just can't be asked to work, I'm so demotivated. I mean like I was bedridden. Like, I didn't leave the bed for about a week or two. I was sick. I was pale. I was in the shittiest of moods. I didn't move. I was actually bedridden. So that was the only time I actually experienced burnout. And again, that was normal. Like, that's gonna happen when you succeed at these, like when you get a project released, when you qualify for a top university, you work with your dream client, you land your dream clients, and you make all the money that you want, you're gonna fucking burn out at some point. Now, obviously, at that point afterwards, I kind of realized that it wasn't sustainable. So when I got to university, I realized, dude, I don't want to study film. Like, a lot of this stuff I kind of already know, but also a lot of this stuff I don't really care to know. So I dropped out. This is me dropping out. This was me, I think, like, when I got home, I started living with my friends. I didn't move back home because there was like a bit of a conundrum when it came to me, like, just dropping out. And then I just start, I'd edit on my MacBook in like a coffee shop or something, right? So uni was out of the picture. You can see this was on the train back from university. But yeah, I just decided I was done. I couldn't handle it all. Uni was like the worst time of my life, by far. You could probably tell just from these pictures that I look like shit. I look like tired. I hadn't shaved for like ages. And yeah, uni was not fun to me. So I learned lessons from both being in university and also from trying to get into university, that if you want to succeed, you must make sacrifices. Like, if you feel bad for not talking to your friends, or if you're wasting time talking to your friends, but you both know that you shouldn't be doing that, stop it. Like, genuinely make that kind of sacrifice. Because because believe me, I'm young. I'm like 20 years old, but I've experienced already that life is hard, right? Life is not fucking easy. Therefore, I would not treat it as such. I would not think that I can get cutesy with my decisions. I have to do what I must, right? So, whether that be with university, whether that be with friends, whether that be with anything, I cannot be kind of cutesy with my decisions. I cannot decide what I want to do all the time. It's mostly just about what I have to do, what I know that I have to do. So if you want to do well with editing, but you don't want to sacrifice this, you don't want to sacrifice that, just be prepared for immediate failure. And that comes with anything in life. Editing is the easiest form of, I guess, online money or entrepreneurship in general. Nothing will be easier than editing. So if you think, oh, I can't balance life with editing, like editing is too hard, and you go to do something else, I honestly, I wish you luck if you come out of it alive. Because if you cannot succeed with editing and you try to do something else, you will fail, and you continuously don't sacrifice anything in your life, you will fail hard. Like, it is embarrassing how hard you will fail. So please, believe me, if anything you want to do in life, there must be sacrifice. If you want to do great with editing, there must be sacrifice. It's all going to be hard. Editing is going to be the easiest thing there is to do. It is possible to make good money with it. It is possible to live a good life. Like, for example, right now, I can still work with literally anybody. I get full-time contracts being sent to me, like offers. I get people messaging me to edit for like $3,000 per video, and I say no to all of them because I'm cool with where I'm at right now. But even so, I know how to now balance my life, because my life will be dedicated to one thing and one thing only, right? That is just how it's going to be. Now, I don't want to continue yapping. I think I'm just going to leave it there. So if at all that kind of helped, then do let me know also. And if you want to learn about how you can actually improve your editing through getting some pretty good design, then there's going to be a video somewhere on the screen right now for you to click. Go watch it. It's seriously a very good video, and it actually helped me, to seriously get the job with Sharky, just by learning design and, learning to create stuff like this. So yeah, you can click the video here somewhere now. But apart from that, have a good day.